disaster declaration, which will help us draw down additional funds. I'm so thankful to State Representative Jean Wu, who we share this district as we do with Congresswoman Fletcher, everything that he can do to pull down the state resources, and to amazing partners such as the Houston Food Bank. So thank you, Mr. Green, for being here with your team and helping us get the supplies that we are able to distribute. And I want to thank Mayor Whitmire. He was scheduled to be here with us today, and our teams have been in constant communication throughout this storm, and generally he's still at council, so he was unable to join us today, but they are doing so much at the City of Houston to partner with the county, with the state, and the federal government, so I'm thankful for his leadership. And we do have, speaking of additional federal leadership, we have Sarah Jones, who's here representing Senator John Cornyn's office, so thank you, Ms. Jones, for joining us. Today, we are here at Bayland Community Center in the heart of Harris County Precinct 4 and our respective districts. This is one of our 5 cooling centers for Harris County Precinct 4, and it is one of 2 distribution centers. We had families lined up both a walk-in line and a car line hours prior to the launch. We know the need is tremendous. We have over 125 people here today. We have had pets in and out here, and know that everybody is welcome. Everybody is welcome. No questions asked. We are here. You don't need to suffer in the heat. We know that over 1.3 million people are still without power, and with a heat index of approximately 103 to 108 throughout the afternoon, the heat is oppressive. Our own home, we still don't have power, and as a mom of 3 little girls, I feel your pain, and my heart is breaking for so many of the children we are seeing coming to Bayland and the other centers in Precinct 4. And I'm really thankful to our teams who, minutes as soon as it was clear to get onto the roads, they left their own homes without power, their own families, their own roofs that were damaged to come and serve. And all of the first responders in the City of Houston and our other partner cities, the county, and our state partners and federal partners, I thank them. And to me, this gives me hope, because when we can harness the power of government to deliver the services that people need as effectively and efficiently as possible, it will never be fast enough, and we have a lot of room for improvement. But know that all of us here, we are all in, and we will do everything possible to deliver the services. And I want to say, as we are all in the midst, and I'm sorry I'm out of breath, I was out there distributing, it is so hot. We have seen in Beryl, for instance, Project Braze, which was a partnership, and thank you for your advocacy, Congresswoman Fletcher, thank you to the Army Corps of Engineers. We saw the positive impact, how the flood mitigation projects that we are completing have been helping. Again, there's so much work to be done, but this is a clear reminder that we not only need to respond for the issues of today, but we need to make sure we're investing in longer-term systemic level solutions to improve the resiliency of Harris County and beyond. We have so much work to be done with regard to the grid here in Texas, and as county leadership, what we are doing, I'll give you a few quick examples. 1, we passed a climate action plan to reduce the county's own emissions. 2, we have been applying for federal grants, and I'm so thankful again to President Biden and his administration, Harris County and a Texas coalition. We just received on Earth Day the wonderful news that we're getting $250 million in a Solar for All program to invest in solar energy for our most vulnerable residents, which will also help us create more independence from a grid that we know is not working the way it needs to and the way the people deserve. Those are a couple of examples we are working on. We've been applying for grants for backup generators, for solar panels on our community centers so that we can be more resilient, so we can better serve our community. We are the energy capital of the world, and that is Harris County's superpower. And county leadership is committed to partnering with the state and federal government so that we are not only the energy capital of the world, but we are the global leader in leading innovation and improvement with regard to the energy transition. It's a both-and proposition, and our children and our grandchildren deserve that we are doing everything both today and always thinking about the future. And in our own homes, we need to challenge ourselves to see what we can do to help reduce our own emissions.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Briones, for your leadership, your incredible leadership, your partnership. I love getting to work with you, and I'm so grateful for your service, for your commitment, and you just really exemplify what it means to be a leader and a servant leader in our community. So thank you so much. The same for you, Representative Wu. I am so privileged to be able to represent the communities with both of them in Texas's 7th Congressional District, and to work as partners at the county level, to work to affect change at the state level with Representative Wu and other members of our delegation. Of course, to work with the city of Houston, and I've been in touch with Mayor Whitmire this morning again. I'm sorry not to be, that he's not here with us this morning, but he's still in council, as Commissioner said, and really the city of Houston's responses has been incredible. I've also worked with our city council members as well, and just the communication, the collaboration is the theme just about every time we come together in a disaster, which frankly seems like it has been all too often here in Houston lately. And I know that people are exhausted and they are tired and they are frustrated, and we all want to see as quickly as possible the power back on and the long-term solutions that we need here in our community. And I just want to take a minute while I'm here to share a little bit of the news about the federal response and what we are doing in Washington, what we're doing from our congressional delegation. But before I start with some of the federal resources and federal information, I want to add to my thanks to all the incredible partners that are here, that are supporting this cooling center here at Bayland, which is open, which people can come to now. Both the food distribution, the Houston Food Bank, what an incredible resource in this community and across our region. I mean, the reach of the Houston Food Bank is so broad over so many counties and does such incredible work. We're so lucky to have them. The partners, of course, that Commissioner Briones listed, and the members of our community who are showing up for each other. That is what we see every time there's a major disaster. There are people who want to help, who are looking for ways to be helpful, whether they're helping neighbors clear the debris in their yards, whether they're bringing friends and family into their homes to stay, whether they are volunteering at centers like this. And I want to encourage everyone who is here and without power to come to centers like this. There are centers here in Precinct 4. We have 5 centers. We also have City of Houston cooling centers, and there are other centers throughout our community. There's information available. And it's so important to get out of the heat, to stay hydrated, to make sure that people are taking care of themselves and their families. And I agree with Commissioner Briones. The need is so great, and to see everyone suffering in this heat, it's something that we have to respond to in this moment, and we're seeing it, but we also have to invest in these long-term solutions. And of course, those who are out there who have been responding, our first responders, incredibly brave first responders who have been out taking care of us throughout this disaster, the frontline workers, and all of the incredible community partners and people across our community. I think in moments like this, we see how much we depend on each other, how much we care about each other, and how much when we work together we can accomplish for our community. But I want everyone here to know that we are not alone, that people across the country care about what's happening here. And on Monday morning, first thing, I heard from the White House and from folks who wanted to make sure that we had the resources we need. As many of you may know, the federal government had resources here and had FEMA staged here before the disaster, obviously still responding to the derecho and the most recent storm, but also what we saw was that there were other federal resources deployed, ready to be deployed, and I'm hearing from my colleagues across the country who are deeply concerned about what is happening here, here at home in Houston and Harris County and our region, of course, our friends in the neighboring counties as well. But as many of you know, and I'm glad to share for those who don't, President Biden has approved a federal disaster declaration, as Commissioner Briones mentioned. And while the details are still being worked out and we'll have more to announce soon, I think it's really important to understand that that will unlock so many resources and so many opportunities for folks here in Harris County. So the information on that is imminent, and for people who want to see assistance will be available. You can look at disasterassistance.gov. That's the website, disasterassistance.gov, for information about what's coming. As I said, FEMA has had boots on the ground since May and is working very closely with the state. Of course, very grateful to our state leaders and others who got that disaster declaration up to the president. And also, just yesterday, I was able to meet with other representatives of the federal government who are doing things as well that people here might not even realize. But I met with the FCC commissioner, chair of the FCC, Rosenworcel, who told me that the FCC sent people down here over the weekend to make sure that our telecommunications infrastructure was still operable. And partially, we have people on the ground to help with restoration. We also have new rules in place. There was a new FCC rule implemented in May that requires telecommunications providers to have backup power so that we can stay in contact in emergencies like this, so that people can get access to the internet so they know where the cooling centers are, so that they can get on the phone and call friends and family and make sure that they are able to get help and resources that they need. And so I'm very, very grateful for that forward-looking and focus on making sure that in moments like this, we have the resources we need. As Commissioner Briones said, there's much more to do, and we're continuing to do that work to identify those needs. And from our community, so many of those ideas have been brought. I'm proud to bring our ideas for positive improvements to Washington and to help really make change. And there are a couple of things I want to highlight that we've done in addition to that and that kind of work. As Commissioner Briones mentioned, we saw that Project Braze really made the difference for so many people in our community, and that we were able to complete that project. That was a 20-year federal project to increase capacity. I've been working constantly with Harris County Flood Control and with the commissioners, with people across our region to address flooding. And we know that we need to do many, many things, and it's many projects, big and small, to address and increase capacity for stormwater and for rainwater. And so what we also know, and I'm very proud to say that Harris County Flood Control reported back to us that the new Meyer Grove Detention Basin, which was a collaborative project between the city, the county, and the federal government, where I asked for and received the funds through congressional appropriations to add this detention basin, that served an important role in detaining water in this storm. It's not even finished yet. Construction is ongoing, but that was able to detain water, and all of those things help make the difference. So continuing to identify those needs and to work together to bring all the resources together is really, really important. I've also heard from and met with other agencies. Of course, we've been on, I met personally with the Region 6 Administrator for HUD yesterday. She's a fellow Texan and very focused on making sure that we get the assistance that we need. Also the SBA, of course, which is such a great resource here in Houston. As soon as we know, as soon as we have more details, we will share them. But I do want to share a couple of thoughts right now about what we need for our federal response. Right now, people should, if they haven't already, be sure that they are documenting their losses. That's really, really important. Document the damage to homes. Take photos of any damage. Make a list of losses. Save all repair receipts ahead of any inspections. If you have insurance, be sure to photograph the make, model, and serial number of appliances, and just make sure that you have all of that information documented. Now, residents are encouraged to report that damage through the Individual State Assessment Tool, ISTAT, which can be accessed at damage.tdem.texas.gov. This is absolutely critical because we need to make sure we document all of the damage here in our area, and that gets reported up and unlocks additional federal resources. So to get those resources here, we want to make sure that we have really the scope of the damage. And so every person can respond and document and hopefully submit that as they have internet access and power. You can also download the FEMA smartphone application, so I just want to make sure that people have that at FEMA.gov, www.fema.gov. More information will be available on that site very, very soon. They are working out the details as we speak. And I think that it's really important. We will continue to update on my website. We have a list of resources and information for residents of Congressional District 7, certainly, but people across our region can access my website with links to Commissioner's website, other information, and certainly the federal resources that are available. And I think it's just absolutely critical that we all do everything we can to stay in touch with our friends and neighbors to help people make sure that they have the information they need and that they get to places like this. And so, as Commissioner Briones said, we are here in this moment, and I'm so incredibly grateful to her for bringing us together here and for making sure that these 5 centers exist and working collaboratively to help others make sure that there are other centers across our community while people are in need. I also want to just encourage folks to stay connected to make sure that they have access to the resources that we have, the information that we have. We will continue to share the federal response. But I want everyone to know I will, of course, continue to work in the short term to get the resources we need right now in this moment and to work on these long-term projects like the completion of Project Braze, like the Meyer Grove Detention Basin, like the other projects that we have submitted. Those do represent exactly what we're here talking about this morning, collaboration between the city, the county, the state, the federal government. It's going to take all of us, and I want to assure everyone here that people across the Biden administration and fellow members of Congress, our congressional delegation from Houston and Harris County and our region are very much focused on working together and making sure that we get through this crisis and that we get the resources we need in the short and long term. So it's an incredible privilege to represent this community, to work with these incredible leaders, and we are all here for you. If there's anything that I can do, certainly our team is taking phone calls and making sure, even though everyone on our team has been without power too, we've got folks in Washington there to answer the phones, so you can call my office anytime or visit my website, fletcher.house.gov, that has more information and all of our phone numbers and all of that information that you might need. So fletcher.house.gov. I'll continue to work with FEMA, SBA, HUD, continue to work with the Biden administration, and continue to work with you to make sure that we document everything that we need, that we get all of the federal assistance that we can. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Commissioner Briones, for bringing us together. Thank you, Representative Wu, for your incredible work, and I'm very glad to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Gene Wu, State Rep for House District 137, which is this area right here. It pains me to have to come and say this again in such a short amount of time, because this is what I said last time and every time, but Houston is at its best when the world is at its worst, and I don't think this is any different. In the last few days, I've seen neighbors helping neighbors clear out their yards, pick up things, cut trees down. We've seen people just stopped on the side of the road picking up debris out of the roadway so other cars can drive through. We've seen people drive courteously through all the downed intersections. We've had our elected officials work nonstop around the clock to stand up these distribution centers and cooling centers and take care of each other. And that is what we're supposed to be doing, and that is why Houston is the best. And there is going to be a time when we talk about accountability, how the response happened, everything else, what we're going to do in the future. We can talk about how to use our state's massive surplus to start burying some of these power lines in the ground instead of doing this every 3 months, right? We can do that, but for right now, the survival of our city is the only thing that matters, okay? Make sure if you have power at home, if you have power, call every friend you know, call every family member you know. Make sure that if they don't have power, that they know that they can come to you. Tell them, don't be a martyr. Don't be a fool. The heat will creep up on you, right? By the time you realize that you're not feeling well, it may already be too late. Don't use up our 911 service. Don't use up our EMS service, our fire service, our police service. Get yourself out of the danger. Take yourself to either a cooling center here or at Lakewood Church or at the city centers or at your friend's house or your family's house, go somewhere. Don't play games. Don't take the risk. Just survive. Let's get through these next few days, and we'll come back together, and we'll fight for a better Houston. I'm sorry, and up next is Mark Green from the Houston Food Bank.
Thank you very much, Congress. Representative Wu. Hi, I'm Brian Green, President of Houston Food Bank. I want to thank all the partners that we work with, and especially the city government and the county commissioners. These community centers, as a partner, works really well for us. We try and do everything by kind of standing behind the scenes and working with neighborhood organizations and the government to get resources to people who need it when they need it. We have on our website, if you go to houstonfoodbank.org, you can look and you do the Hurricane Beryl tab. If you need assistance, there are 50 sites that have now been set up to provide emergency disaster relief specifically for this need. I really want to thank all those organizations who stepped up to do extra work. A special shout out, I think, to Bethel's Heavenly Hands, who wins the award for getting fastest back in action to serve their neighbors. We absolutely could not do this without these organizations. Also want to mention that Galveston County Food Bank and Montgomery County Food Bank are providing those same services in those two respective counties. And I also want to point out that if you need help, the best place to start with is United Way's 211. We send all of our information to them. So do other organizations. So that is a kind of a one-stop shopping site in order to try and identify where that you can get assistance. I can say I have been in communication with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they are going to have some good news for families who are using SNAP assistance. That should help a lot. What makes storms like this so difficult, even where to per household it may not seem like, oh, that wasn't a large amount of damage to the house, is according to the latest survey, about 50% of Houston households don't have $400 that they can call on an emergency. It is not hard to lose $400 worth of resources in a disaster like this. These are these are working households, but they're not making a lot of money. They're making enough money to get by paycheck to paycheck, and something like this can have a huge impact. And we want you to know that we really want to help you when these times come, so you can get back on your feet as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Green, for everything that you and your team do and how you can bring together so many partner organizations to just respond so quickly and with such excellence. We're grateful. And I echo United Way's 211 is a great way. If you're struggling with different facets, they can connect you to services that you need. So the bottom line is that know that we're working across levels of government with partner organizations in the community. We're here for you now, and we will be here for you after the storm. And my partner said it best, right? This is what we do in Harris County. Unfortunately, because we are hit with disaster after disaster, we come together, we unite, we take care of each other. So please do that. Again, the heat is oppressive outside. Do not suffer in the heat. Go to a friend or family's house. Come to the cooling centers that the city and the county and other partner organizations have. We're here for you, we work for you, and we're here to serve you. So thank you so much. If there's any questions, Sian will help moderate.